tire. Go ahead and put one down. Here? Yeah.
The outline work on the ground is a race against time. The bomber pilots are already on their way from their Chino hangar in the B-25 for a first scouting mission. The battleship outline has to be ready so that the pilots can gather important targeting data for the bomb drop scheduled for the next day. The ground team finishes just in time. As the World War II bomber lands on the desert airfield, model maker Holger Bull arrives with the special payload of the Fritz X bomb replicas. The next day will be the moment of truth, D-Day for the Fritz X. Will the experiment be successful? Bomb model maker Holger Bull will be on board the bomber the next day, radio controlling the Fritz X. Pilot Carl Scholl is giving some last-minute advice.
Look at the trajectory, the time that it was in the air, see if our drop point is correct.
During their scouting mission over the target area, pilot Tony Ritzman calculated some data on the probable acceleration of the Fritz X for the test drop.
The bomb is going to travel about 2,300 feet before it impacts, and it's going to take about 12.5 seconds from the time of release until it actually impacts, and when it hits the ground it's going to be going about 290 miles an hour.
But spotting the replicated battleship outline will be a challenge for the bomber pilots.
I was able to spot the outline of the Roma shape from a good distance, but because of the altitude we're dropping from, that disappears under the nose long before we reach the release point. So we picked a couple of landmarks way far out in the distance that will allow us to hold a constant heading and fly directly over the Roma shape.
It's the day of truth for the Fritz X experiment. Every one of the team works on their final preparations. For safety reasons, the replica's warhead is not packed with explosives.
Oh, you had it. What'd you do? Reposition. So.
To better monitor the bomb's trajectory during the drop, Steve Wiper devises a special camera contraption. To protect the camera from damage, it will be pulled away from the bomb by a parachute system before impact.
So we have a trigger that's released, that catches the wind or the air slipstream, and then that will pull the drogue parachute, which will in turn pull the main parachute, which will in turn yank the entire camera module off the back of the Fritz X, hopefully just before it hits the ground.
Now the bomb and the bomber are ready for takeoff, ready for the first test drop of their Fritz X bomb on American soil. Pilots Tony Ritzman and Carl Scholl prepare for the drop of the Nazi replica bomb Fritz X from their World War II bomber. A last radio check with Steve Wiper, who will be leading the ground team in the target area.
2 or 3 minutes to land.
Before takeoff, Tony Ritzman holds a final briefing on worst-case scenarios.
The moment of truth is about to arrive, so let's talk about what we're going to do here. We're going to climb out, do a 270-degree climbing right-hand turn, go about a mile to the west. First pass is going to be a dummy pass, just so that everybody is comfortable with the drop line, the run-in, your position.
When you're going to be dropping, so I'm going to hear that on the radio. Do you have a signal you want to give me?
Carl is going to start the countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, release. At that point, it's all yours.
Yeah, I realize that.
All right, let's talk about what can happen that can go bad. If the Fritz X really starts shedding parts, you know, the tail's vibrating or something really, really unsafe, I'm going to go out here and punch it off. Okay? If we do the release and it doesn't release, I'm going to come right back here and land and hope it doesn't disengage when we touch down. It'll be the smoothest landing of my life. All right? If we have an engine failure, we're going to come back and land here. Don't panic. We've done this before. We can land on one engine. Other than that, we'll come back and then we'll do number 2. Okay. Any questions?
Pilot Carl Scholl believes in a good omen for this day.
All the times that we've been doing different drops, we've never had an emergency as such. Actually, I bet $100 that we will hit the ship.
As the pilots prepare for takeoff, the ground team is heading for the battleship target outline in the desert.
When I see you in place, we'll start rolling out.
Look a little more to your left. You see the orange? Oh yeah, the orange object, that's the stern.
The B-25 is not identical, but closely resembles the German planes that dropped the Fritz X during the war. The bombardier had to crouch in a glass compartment at the nose of the plane. Today, this will be the job of bomb model maker Holger Bull. It's his first ride in an American bomber.
Okay, Holger in the nose, we're rolling in.
I'm ready.
The Fritz X replica first seems to be stable in the air pressure. But then something goes wrong.
Well, you just lost some parts, so you got a streamer coming out the back end of the thing past the tail of the airplane right now.
Is this a disaster scenario coming true? Is the replica bomb disintegrating from the pressure of the airstream?
Wow, I see a parachute with the cameras.
All clear. The bomb body itself is still intact. It was the parachute of the camera contraption, devised to monitor the bomb, that broke loose too soon.
Okay, so you're saying the parachute released, but the black camera body is still attached.
Looks like the black camera body is still attached.
Yeah, Dave, you copy that? The parachute mechanism fell off the back on the takeoff roll.
Yeah, I copy that. Apologies.
Okay, you should have the target inside, Holger. We're turning inbound now.
I will do my best to get it into the target.
When that thing drops, do not take your eyes off the Fritz X. Forget about the bomber. Watch the Fritz X, because we are definitely in a danger zone here.
The countdown starting now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Release. Gone. I felt it go.
There it goes. Look at it.
Beautiful.
Look at that thing go. Here it comes. Here it comes.
Whoa!
Look at that thing go.
Whoa!
Look at that thing go. Wow! 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 That was perfect.
Okay, this is ground crew. Fritz X dropped beautifully.
It was perfectly controlled. Went into the ground somewhere about 50 to 100 feet short of the stern. Over.
Roger, we have that. Very good.
But it turns out the first replica missed the target by 90 meters. Still, the penetration and destructive power of Hitler's smart bomb is revealed.
Whoa. Wow. And it, like you said, it was cooking. Where's the front end? It's buried way down in here.
The bomb's incredible acceleration almost smashed it into pieces when it hit solid ground.
Look at that.
I thought
The edge of it.
when it first started.
Crushed like on a real crash of an airplane with high speeds.
Where is the other one?
So this was a thing which was straight and fine. Now it's sharp like a rotten old knife, you know.
The team gathers reference data for their second and final test drop. This will be their last chance at hitting the battleship target.
There's the stern. Right there.
I think we have a good idea of what happened and the glide path that it follows. So the next drop we should be closer, if not be able to hit it.
On the second drop, Holger Bull joins the ground team to observe his replica's drop in person. In the cockpit, the pilots debate how best to readjust the release point for the Fritz X.
I see the tree line points right at it. No, it doesn't. The tree line is off to the left of it. That's the problem. Well, that's where we were. We're always to the right.
Finally, the pilots find their proper reference points for the bomb's release on the replica ship.
Well, this looks better this time. Live run. 3, 2, 1, 0, drop. It's gone.
And this time, the smoke flare ignites.
Good. Okay, B-25 is going into land.
Again, the experiment proves the destructive power of Hitler's smart bomb. Even without the benefit of explosives, over 2 meters from its total length of 3.5 meters are buried in the ground. And this time, the Fritz X came even closer to hitting the battleship outline.
Steve, how far was it?
57 yards!
So our bomber crew really did a great job. Had this been underway at, a moderate speed, like approximately 20 knots,
Dan?
I think that there's a very good chance that this bomb would have actually hit the outline.
Well, knowing that in Germany hundreds of millions of Reichsmark, and the work of dozens of engineers, scientists, and so forth have been involved, So seeing all that, then I think we did a good job,
When the bombs dropped from the aircraft, they performed exactly as the originals did, and as they came down in their arc, it was like watching a movie of the real thing, except we were there to live it ourselves, and that was just fantastic.
The replica experiment unlocked the mystery of Hitler's secret bomb, Fritz X. The bomb's specific aerodynamics, designed by German engineers in the 1940s, have been successfully recreated by the German-American team. The replica bomb's acceleration and penetration abilities were shown to have a highly destructive effect. Even without explosives, they almost completely disintegrated. Therefore, during the war, the Nazi bomb's penetration power was too strong for much of the battleship armor of the day. The USS Savannah got lucky. When a Fritz X penetrated her hull, it went so deep, so quickly, that the explosion went off too late to sink the ship. But if the Fritz X had been perfected back then, could it have changed the course of the war? Towards the end, Hitler's weapons program became more and more desperate. In 1944, the dictator pushed for another last-minute weapon. The Heinkel 162, with a top speed of over 560 miles an hour, or 900 kilometers per hour, was the fastest jet at the time. But the German Air Force was running out of pilots, and some Nazi fanatics had the ingenious idea to send boys from the Hitler Youth into air combat. So they nicknamed the jet Volksjäger, the People's Fighter. A dictator's final desperation. But the jet's rush into production led to the death of many pilots due to the failures of their own machines. Awaiting the invasion in France in 1944, Hitler dreamt of crushing the landing forces with bombs like thunderbolts. But the new generation of Fritz X that could resist Allied jamming of its control signals was not yet in mass production. On June the 6th, 1944, D-Day, Allied fighters supporting the landing prevented the few German bombers left from bringing the smart bomb successfully to enemy targets. But what if the Fritz X could have been deployed on the US troops approaching Omaha Beach, fulfilling the evil fantasies of the Nazi dictator? A sinister scenario, imagining hundreds of Fritz X bombs thundering down, and countless soldiers killed even before reaching the beach. Hitler's smart bomb could have turned D-Day into doomsday for the Allies.